At first glance, it sounds like just another campaign promise, but the truth behind Trump's 2025 stimulus check plan is far more real and immediate than many realize. Officially called the American Worker Rebate Act, this bill isn't buried in political fluff or legal jargon. It's only 14 pages long, but packed with language that could mean $600 or more straight into your bank account. And it's not just about checks. It's about rethinking how tariff money is used, turning it into direct relief for working families. In this breakdown, we'll walk through what the bill actually says, who qualifies, how much you could get, and the sneaky rule that quietly changes everything on page 7. Let's unpack it together. The American Worker Rebate Act of 2025. What it means for you. The American Worker Rebate Act of 2025 may only be 14 pages long, but don't let its brevity fool you. Inside this relatively short document are some important changes designed to put money directly into the pockets of hardworking Americans. If you haven't heard much about it yet, you're not alone. This act hasn't been widely covered in the headlines, but I've read through every word, and I'm here to explain exactly what it says, who qualifies, and the surprising detail on page 7 that could change everything you thought you knew. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. What would you do if an extra $600 landed in your account tomorrow? Would you spend it on groceries? A small getaway? Or maybe just a relaxing night in with your family? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. Now, let's get into the American Worker Rebate Act, sometimes called the Tariff Rebate Stimulus. Let's walk through the key points page by page, coffee shop style, plain language, no legal jargon. What is the American Worker Rebate Act? At its core, this law aims to recycle tariff revenue, the money the government collects from import duties, and return it to working people. Usually, tariffs collected on imports end up in the federal treasury and get mixed into the general budget. But this act directs that money back to American households in the form of rebates. On page 1, the official congressional cover looks straightforward and plain, but the key line says this: Congress intends to take the tariff fees collected after January 20th, 2025, and funnel them back to working families. Think of it as the government collecting a fee on imported goods and then mailing part of that fee directly to your mailbox. This is different from past stimulus efforts. Instead of a one-time check, the rebate depends on how much tariff revenue comes in, creating a dynamic link between tariffs and payments. The basics. How much money could you get? Page 2 introduces the headline numbers. The Act creates a new section in the tax code that guarantees at least $600 per adult and $600 per qualifying child. But here's the twist. $600 is just the minimum amount. The rebate can go higher, depending on tariff revenue projections. Imagine tariff collections as a balloon tied to customs receipts. The more duties collected, the bigger the balloon, and the fatter your check could become. Unlike previous stimulus payments that capped how much people could get, this act lets the rebate float upward, with no fixed ceiling. What tariff revenue counts? Page 3 clarifies that only tariffs collected after January 20th, 2025 count toward funding this rebate. This date aligns with the new tariff schedule that took effect then. The purpose here is to create a clean financial line. Old tariff money stays in the general fund, while new tariff money is earmarked for rebates. Also important, Treasury is allowed to use revenue projections rather than waiting for perfect data. This means payments can be issued faster instead of getting stuck in accounting delays. Who qualifies? Income limits and restrictions. Page 4 dives into income limits. If you're a single filer making more than $75,000 adjusted gross income, AGI, or married filing jointly with more than $150,000, your rebate starts to phase out. For every extra dollar you earn above those limits, your rebate shrinks by 5 cents. For example, a single person earning $95,000 would see their $600 rebate gradually reduced to zero. This ensures the money goes to the middle-income families who really need it, rather than high earners. The Act also specifies who cannot claim the rebate: non-resident aliens, dependents claimed by others, estates, and trusts. This is similar to previous stimulus rules to avoid double claims or payments going to ineligible recipients. How will you receive the money? Page 5 explains the logistics. This is where it gets interesting. The Treasury will use your 2024 tax return to calculate and send advanced payments early in 2025. Why 2024 and not the current year? Because 2024 returns are already processed by the IRS, allowing payments to go out quickly without waiting for new paperwork. Payments will go via direct deposit to any account that has received federal payments since 2023. This includes Social Security, Veterans Affairs benefits, or child tax credit deposits. This one change alone could reduce the number of paper checks mailed out, speeding up distribution. The sneaky rule: making sure no one gets left behind. One of the quietest but most important fixes in the American Worker Rebate Act appears on page 7. It addresses a problem many people might not think about. What happens if you don't file a tax return? For millions of Americans, especially retirees and others on fixed incomes, filing a tax return every year isn't a given. Some don't have enough income to require filing, while others rely solely on Social Security benefits. In past stimulus rounds, these folks sometimes got missed because the government didn't have recent tax information for them. This bill introduces a clever safety net. If you didn't file taxes in 2024, the IRS will first look at your 2023 tax return. If that's missing too, they're allowed to pull information from your Social Security Form 1099, which reports how much Social Security income you received. Why is this so important? Because it creates a direct data pipeline between the Social Security Administration and the Treasury Department. This ensures seniors and non-filers don't fall through the cracks this time. A lesson lawmakers painfully learned after the 2020 stimulus payments, when many retirees almost missed out. Keeping track: payment notices and Social Security number. Rules. Turning to page 8, the Act requires the Treasury to send you a formal notice within 15 days of issuing your payment. Think of it as a receipt. It tells you how much money was sent, which bank account or address it was sent to, and the exact date it was deposited or mailed. Why does this matter? For one, it helps you keep track of the payment for your records, especially if you're managing a household budget or filing taxes later. It also serves as proof in case of any issues or discrepancies. This page also tightens up important identity rules. Everyone listed on a tax return. That means the primary taxpayer, spouse, and any qualifying children must have a valid Social Security number, SSN. This is a key step in fighting fraud and making sure payments go to the right people. There's one small exception. Adopted children can use a temporary individual taxpayer identification number, ITIN, while waiting for their SSN. This helps prevent families from getting stuck in red tape while protecting the system from abuse. Military families, closing loopholes to include everyone. On page 9, the bill specifically addresses a sensitive situation for military families. During the 2020 stimulus rollout, a loophole unintentionally shut out many mixed-status families. Households where one spouse had an SSN and the other did not. To fix this, the Act says if one spouse served in the military at any point during the tax year, the couple can still qualify for the rebate even if only one spouse has an SSN. This is a thoughtful inclusion that recognizes the sacrifices military families make and ensures they won't miss out on payments due to paperwork quirks. IRS gets a helpful spell check. Fixing errors. Automatically filing taxes can be tricky, and mistakes happen, especially with new credits or rebates. Page 10 gives the IRS the ability to auto-correct math errors related to this rebate. For example, if you accidentally enter 2 kids on your tax return, but actually have 1 qualifying child, the IRS can fix this right away, instead of sending your return into a long audit or delay. This is a big improvement. It means fewer people get stuck waiting months for corrections, and more people get their money faster and with less hassle. Think of it as a built-in spell check for your taxes, catching obvious errors so the system runs smoothly. What about U.S. territories? Fair access beyond the mainland. Many people don't realize that millions of Americans live in U.S. territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, the Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands. These places have tax systems that generally mirror the federal code, but often don't require residents to file standard U.S. federal tax returns. Page 12 takes care of this by creating a mirror system. Instead of the Treasury paying residents directly, the money goes to the local territorial governments, which then distribute the rebate to residents. This is crucial because it ensures fair and efficient access to the rebate without forcing residents to jump through extra hoops or file unfamiliar paperwork. It means Puerto Ricans, Guamanians, and others won't be left out just because of their unique tax situation. Funding security and protecting your money. One of the biggest worries when it comes to new government payments is whether the money will actually reach people reliably or get tangled up in politics. The Act classifies this rebate as a permanent refund appropriation. What does that mean? Basically, as long as tariffs keep coming in, the money for these rebates will automatically flow without Congress needing to approve a new spending bill every year. That's a big deal. It creates certainty that this isn't a one-time handout, but a recurring benefit that can adjust with tariff revenue. Final thoughts. The American Worker Rebate Act of 2025 is a fresh, targeted way to recycle tariff revenue into direct payments for working families. It's designed to be flexible, fast, and fair, with important lessons learned from past stimulus programs baked in. If you're eligible, these payments could make a meaningful difference, whether it's paying bills, putting food on the table, or saving for a rainy day. Keep your eyes on your 2024 tax return, update your banking details, and stay informed about the rollout. And don't forget to share your thoughts. Would an extra $600 help you this year? What would you spend it on? Let's keep the conversation going.